entertainment. We are undergoing a brand switch on our YouTube channel. We'll still have our gameplay videos, but I also want to encompass more content than just gameplay. I have my lovely wife, Ariane, joining me today.
Hello.
With the topic of discussion today, we are going to be doing these everyman broadcasts. We are lower middle class. We're not contributors to anything besides our own life.
No one listens to anything we have to say. Pretty much.
Yes, which honestly, a lot of people feel, as do I, that is what a lot of people feel about themselves, is that they don't have a voice. So we are going to be that voice for the people who feel like they don't have one. So today, pardon the Madden background. I can't stream without some kind of background. I don't have the computer material to do it yet, so I had to do it this way. But so we're going to be talking about, we just finished watching the first presidential debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, and we are going to be discussing our thoughts. Now, obviously, we have our biases towards whatever candidate. We're not going to shy away like Fox News and say, no, we don't have any bias. No, of course we have bias because people are freaking idiots. But we are going to try to unbiasedly dismantle the performance of each candidate in the debate. So first, we're going to just start with general observations. Would you like to start, sweetheart?
I would.
Okay, so go ahead and take it.
I'm going to say first, yay for democracy.
Yay for democracy! 2 viewers already. Nice.
So, my takeaway from it was that, and I remember watching some of the lead up, forgive the term, kind of masturbatory foreplay gratification that kind of comes up before all these.
I was making a joke about I saw the first commercial last week for the presidential debate, and I swear to God, it was more entertaining than some movie trailers I've seen this year. Like, coming soon, new from your government, Trump, Hillary, the face-off. Catch this fall's biggest blockbuster event.
The debating.
It was just horrible how much of a spectacle this has become.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the problem, maybe, is that in order to be engaged in our own society's function, our government, essentially, which is at least half of it, is that it has to be entertaining. And at this point, not only is it entertaining, as in it has to keep our really very short attention spans in the first place. It has now become a spectacle. And I don't think it became a spectacle with this campaign. Certainly this one has been the largest one in many, many years, and certainly in a lot of people's memory. But in general, that is, I think, what our democracy has kind of become. And without getting away too much from the debate itself and not going too much into my own personal feelings into it, but I would just say that that's kind of our fault, honestly.
Yeah, it is.
Me and Matt's personally, apparently.
We have really become a reality show driven society.
Immediate self-gratification.
Yes, you need to see what's going on in other people's lives, and you need to see instant gratification, which Donald Trump really encompasses. Yeah. Is that instant gratification and the problems that come with it. I like to call Donald Trump the Facebook candidate, which his whole campaign, it seems like, a lot of it is based on taking stuff he reads off social media, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, whatever, regurgitating it, and I use that term purposefully, as fact, and then the masses are like, I read that on Facebook the other day. I didn't know it was true, but since Donald Trump said it, it must be true. And now he's garnering this almost cult following of supporters who think that he is going to be some kind of savior like Cutler was to the Chicago Bears. Excuse the analogy.
Must we go there?
I'm sorry, but it's ridiculous. And now my general overview of the debate itself, from what I saw... If I may go first.
Well, to be fair, that I was supposed to be making a point.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is a two-way conversation.
I made a flippant comment of yay democracy. But you asked me my reaction from the debate. And so if I may, sorry. What I saw from it was that it was very clear that they were... It didn't feel like they were trying to sway anyone to their side. That's not what it felt like. Well, no, I won't say that. It felt like they were making their case, certainly to their supporters, to try and get more enthusiasm, to get their supporters ramped up. Now, Donald Trump we already know, has a very enthusiastic base, much to Hillary Clinton.
And he is very good using his charisma.
And that has been Hillary Clinton's bane, I guess, is that, and everyone talks about it all the time, so it must be true. But the idea is that she has waning. She has not very strong support or like enthusiasm amongst her supporters. People are like, yeah, I'm voting for her, I guess. And I'll be honest, I'm one of those people. And it's not to say necessarily like the choice is really that hard for me personally. I personally do not want to vote for Donald Trump at all. What I'd like to see more going on in our debates, more our policy discussions, more in the actual governance of our country and what people want to see done, and actually acknowledging some of the problems we have. Sure, fuck yeah. But the reality is that right now we have, to me, someone who's serious, and we have someone who acts serious. And in that case, to me, if those are the two choices I have, and I know that there's other people I can choose from, at this point, it is about those two, and that's really what it comes down to. And I think that's what the debate really was about. Making her look weaker and making her look stronger. That's really what it sounded like.
But what I gathered from it is, in his attempt to make her look weak, he made her look stronger. Because... And we're going to get into some nonverbal examples later, but one thing I really noticed is Hillary was very good at when Trump was answering, even though a lot of his answers were very long-winded, she was very good at sitting there and waiting for her turn. Whereas, and it plays to an actual topic they discussed, which was temperament. Here's Trump talking about how Hillary doesn't have the temperament or the stamina, and he has a great temperament, but he can't even keep the composure to let the moderator finish a question, to let Hillary finish her statement. But here's Hillary listening to these attacks from Trump, where Trump can say she's put out all the commercials he wants. He attacks on the stage. He may not put out the commercials, but he does it on the stage. So, I guess that's more honorable to him to do it face-to-face as opposed to a commercial. Either way, it's deplorable as far as I'm concerned, but he did not have the temperament to sit there, listen to the questions, answer the questions. He could not do it. That shows his lack of temperament. Whereas Hillary... I think it was beautifully done. You even heard me applaud it. Trump had a very long-winded answer to a question it wasn't even to a question. It was a whole sidestep of a question he was asked. He had a long-winded answer, most of it attacking Hillary and what she did in the past. And where Trump would have been sitting there on the mic, wrong, no, wrong. Hillary sat there, waited, and as soon as he was done, way after his 2 minutes were up, goes, whoo, okay, my turn.
So,
And My Turn was paraphrasing, but she did go, woo, okay. Basically pointing out, he didn't answer anything, he took forever, now it's my turn, and now I'm going to talk about the question that the moderator posed.
Well, I think also it was kind of a comment, in that case in particular, when she did that, I think it was also a comment on how much he jumped around, on how little he stayed on point, and to her view, and frankly to mine, honestly, how inaccurate, and at some point she actually said crazy, and frankly, some of his accusations, or at least some of what his point was. Now, to me, it felt more like, when you watch politicians, one of the biggest critiques you usually have from them, or have about them, is that they don't stay on the question. You'll ask them a question and they deflect. They deflect. And whether you agree with her answers, whether you agree with her responses, the reality was that he had a very hard time actually answering any of the questions that were posed to him. They were all reaction. No, he did answer ish.
Okay, well, I'll give you a handful.
But he actually was more reacting to anything that she was saying, yes. Or even sometimes to the point of what the moderator was saying. And the reality is that is very much the point of the very argument of temperament. It is the ability to react or not react, I guess, in certain cases based on a stimulus. Like, how are you going to keep control of yourself or lack thereof when faced with an obstacle? And that's a very telling example of his whole not in purpose, but his whole purpose, I guess at this point. Campaign, his whole goal
message.
There we go. Thank you for trying to get the word for me. Essentially it's all reactionary, yes. And that's essentially kind of not only been him, but that's been his campaign. Something happens, we're reacting to it. This is what we want to put out there. It's all because of this is what happened. Not anything proactive. That is what we'd like to see, as I'd hope we got to see as voters. We all understand that there's anger in the country. We all understand that there's problems in this country, and we all want to see them changed, and we all have very different ideas of how we want to see them accomplished. But part of that has to be about proactively coming up with solutions before they become problems that you have to react to. And I think that Hillary did a very good job in displaying that. Now, before anyone watching here, we just said we're going to try to do something biasly.
Oh, yeah, and we're going to get plenty of flack, like, oh, you guys are all for Hillary, and blah, blah, blah. We're for Hillary because, honestly, she dominated this debate.
If you're going to look at, say, for example, you're watching a boxing match, and someone clearly wins, and you're talking about how good they did, oh, you're just biased against them. Well, they won.
Yeah.
I don't understand. They did this. Yes, they're supposed to.
We're going to make points to back our points up. Don't think we're just going to say Hillary's great because Hillary's great. I don't think she's great.
I just got finished saying, yeah, I'm one of those people, like, I guess I'm with her. Like, I voted for Bernie.
I'll gladly say I was
very happy about that.
Hillary, but I would go Bernie before Hillary any day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and myself included.
We're getting off topic, though.
Yes, we are. So back to the debate. But I thought what was very interesting, like, one, I called, at some point they're like, well, the moderator, like, the audience has been asked to be, like, composed and
quiet.
We're expecting it to, like, this is essentially they're talking about how, like, so these big wigs and political, like, power people and celebrities, and we expect a very different kind of audience, from the normal rabble, I guess, the rest of us peasants,
us little
just chanting out names and slogans and so forth. This is not a wrestling
signs
match.
In the crowd and body paint, Democratic body paint.
And yet they still reacted. Now, part of that, I think, is just human. If someone says something funny, it's very hard not to laugh at it. Someone says something ridiculous.
Reaction.
Someone says something ridiculous. It's very hard to react to it, either in laughing or giggling or sighing or gasping. But the cheering for one point or another, I honestly am not that surprised at. I fairly called it. I don't know why anyone thought anything else was going to happen differently.
This is a very heated election.
That's exactly my point. And I was watching earlier. I don't remember if you were sitting there with me, babe. But so like two like a round table discussion. Like 9 people were sitting there of like seasoned journalists, and essentially talking about the debate prior to the debate. And someone mentioned, for example, the birther issue specifically, and they started to get into an argument and a debate sitting right there. It wasn't even the point of the question that they were talking about. It was something else about staying on point, fact checking, things like that. And so we used the birther movement, and more credit to Hillary. To me, it was the birther lie that she called it. But the idea of using that as an example, and people started to fact check that person immediately, and then they tried to not necessarily deflect, but like, well, this is what the other campaign is saying, and there was this really heated discussion between everyone, and it was the idea that. And there are going to be issues in this election that people are going to have very passionate opinions about. I don't think it's reasonable to expect people will not react to them in some way, even in a debate, even in the first presidential debate, even with that number of quote-unquote big wigs and so forth in the audience.
Yes, and another thing I wanted to point out that really struck out to me, we watched just briefly MSNBC and Fox News' reactions. Just basically just to get a first thought of what they thought. And it was funny. It was funny, the difference. They both kind of said that Hillary came prepared to this election and was ready to go.
Well, that's what she does.
And MSNBC said, oh, it's a shutout for Hillary. And Fox News said, well, the moderator wasn't that great. And here's my thing, is that their big argument was that the moderator, from what I heard, I didn't watch much, so...
They watched it and they came to this.
The argument they made was that the moderator interrupted Trump more than he interrupted Hillary. And Hillary was given much more play than Trump was. And I'm sitting here and I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, what kind of bullshit this is? Because you're saying that Hillary didn't got a lot more play, but Hillary stuck to the questions being asked. Did she deflect like a politician? Abso-fucking-lutely. Not as much. Not a lot. She was actually a lot more specific on a lot of things than I expected, which I'm going to get to in a minute. But Trump, there are multiple times, you can go back and watch the debate. There are multiple times the moderator doesn't even finish the question before Trump starts speaking.
Yeah.
He knew he wasn't going to answer this fucking question.
Oh.
He's going to talk about what he wants to talk about. But that's the point of a moderator, is to keep you on topic. Yes. So every time Trump went off topic, the moderator did his job and tried to push him back to the topic. And he would not stay on topic. That's why Hillary got a lot more play. And now, before you go, I want to mention, because I alluded to it a few seconds ago, the greatest moment in this debate for Hillary, the thing that is going to help her the most, is when Trump brought up the emails. Everyone knew that they were coming. Everyone knew that the emails were going to be brought up. A lot of people thought Benghazi was going to get brought up, blah, blah, blah. And I'll get to that in a second after Ariane gets her point in. But as soon as they brought up the emails, Hillary was quiet. She didn't attack Trump to try to get the attention off of her. She actually welcomed almost the attention. Not saying that she used it as a way to get her face on TV. She owned up to the mistake she made and said, I made a mistake. And I own that, and I take full responsibility. Something that Trump has not done once in this campaign. He has simply said, wrong, or that is inaccurate. He has not owned up to one thing: the bankruptcy, the tax returns, the birther movement, the lawsuit against his company for racial discrimination. He has not owned up to a single thing that he has been accused of. Hillary owned up, and that was Huge for her, in my opinion. Huge for her.
Well, and I had another point, but I can't remember what it was. But I actually want to. This is something that occurred to me actually recently, and I wanted to ask you, babe, because there was a point during this campaign, not necessarily recently, but in the past, where you have expressed that you were more likely to vote for Trump than Hillary, and it sounds more like we would be more supportive of her.
There was a moment where I said, Trump may have a point. There was a moment. But after watching the debate tonight, and after watching, because this was early in the run, I believe.
It was more or less after both their candidacies had been announced. Like, that they're both going to be the candidate for their respective parties.
And at the time, I was really bitter, honestly, because I was really rooting for Bernie. I thought Bernie was going to do very well. I thought that he might be able to pull it out. And I honestly thought he would have been a good candidate. Not only that, but this whole theatrical approach to the debate, I thought that it would have been absolutely amazing to see Trump and Bernie on that stage together and see how that debate turned out. I still want to see that debate.
Yeah.
So it was partially out of bitterness for that, and that's my mistake, but that's in private, so that doesn't fucking mean anything. But now, after watching the debates, after seeing more and more of Trump, I realize that he is the worst thing that could happen to this country, in my opinion.
I will say that, and we're going to get to...
And again, this whole unbiased thing.
I know, unfortunately. This is my play. This is my take on it.
Listen, Trump had his moments, though, and we're going to get to those.
Yeah, this is my take on it as a voter. And I guess it depends on which one you prefer. My take on it was that if you, and this is understanding kind of also a Trump supporter, he talked very much about his businesses, how successful he was, how well he's done, how smart he was. Yes, he's gotten away with a lot of things. It's because the laws allowed him to, and shame on us for having the laws in there, I guess, but maybe not. Who knows? That's a whole nother question for the legislators.
Well, while we're talking about it, let me say the quote.
Let me finish my. I don't think we need the quote. If you can hang out for a second, because I do want to finish my point.
Okay.
The point I got from Trump, whether he is trying to put that out there or not, is that he is very much us against them. It is us, the U.S., against ISIS. It is us against the horrible immigrants who are coming in and taking all our jobs. It is us against the Chinese. It is us against them, whoever they are. And I can understand that. If you have been taking a beating in this economy, if you've lost your job, if you've seen it go to other people, if you feel like the government is not helping you out, if you see time after time of all these different changes going on that make you feel like if you are wrong for feeling the way you are, for not wanting these changes in the first place, social, political, economic, so forth, and you are wrong for not wanting them even though they're hurting you and your family, it's very easy to go to I like the guy who says that he's going to help me. I am part of his us, and they can go fuck themselves. I understand that. Here's my thing. On the other side, it felt very much like Hillary was saying, we. There was no us versus them. I mean, it's very clear that when somebody fucks with us, then we need to do something about it. But the idea is that there was not a clear distinction as to us versus them. It was we all have to do something about it. We have to do something about this scenario. We are working with coalitions. We are working with community policing. We are working with families. It was about inclusion. And she actually used that word at some point, which, much to her credit, and as an educator, I was absolutely wholeheartedly in love with. But the idea was that there is no us versus them. Those lines, those distinctions are damaging. They don't help anybody. They're killing the
country right now.
They help some people, but they don't help enough people. When you include we, that means hopefully all of us are going to get involved in it. And I think that I can see why someone would be on the us versus them side, and I can see why someone would be on the we side. But here's the thing, though, and this is my critique of Trump, and I can get into a critique of Hillary, and I'll try and make my point short. I know I've already gone a little long. When you go on us versus them, the question is who gets to define who us is versus who they are. And only thing I've ever seen from Trump's campaign and his touting of his business credentials is that it helped me. It helped my family. It helped my business. And granted, that might mean my country, but I don't really hear a whole lot from him about talking about my country or our country. I hear him talking about this is what I would do, and everyone just kind of has to fall in line. So I don't really understand the mentality that all of a sudden he's going to go away from me, my, and somehow include the rest of us, all of us, the we. I don't hear that.
No.
And I don't see that from him, and I would love for someone to point it out for me and not have holes that I can poke in it. I want to be able to say both things evenly, but I'm not getting that at all.
So I wanted to go, first of all, I want to say this quote that I got from the debate. Hillary said, and this was in relation to Trump's tax returns, that apparently he was forced to show them several years ago, and it showed that he did not pay his federal taxes. And maybe that's the reason he does not want to release them now, along with many other reasons she may have thought it was. But the quote was that she said that those tax returns showed way back when, 16 years ago or whatever, that you did not pay federal taxes. That is what she said. And Trump's response to that, instead of his usual, that is inaccurate or that is wrong, which honestly probably would have been the better fucking answer for this, he says, that makes me smart. So that is something that really blew my mind, that he would see dipping and dodging laws to put money in his own pocket and take money out of the system for schools, for education in schools, for education, for military, for all the things that the budget does for us. Refusing to pay for that or help makes him smart, and that infuriated me. I have a kind of long point too, so if you can give me a moment, baby. So that was one of the worst moments in Trump's campaign so far, in my opinion. Secondly, one thing I noticed, and it's kind of off of your point, sweetheart, is that you brought up that Trump was very much about this is what I've done, this is what I've done, this is what I've done, this is about me. And that is very much the case. That is very much Donald Trump's approach to this debate was, why are you going to trust me? Because I have billions of dollars. Why are you going to believe a word I say? Because I've done more with my life than you have yours. It's a ridiculous arrogance to that anyone could even find this guy and see that this is a presidential candidate blows my mind. And then he sits here and he talks, and one of the points they brought up was that at some point apparently there was a boat full of Iranians who were taunting Americans on a boat next to them. And Trump said to blow them out of the water, according to Hillary. I have not seen that quote, so I cannot say that is a direct quote.
A tweet that he sent out,
so you've seen
a speech.
Have you seen it?
I've seen it, yeah.
Okay, so she's seen it, so she knows he said it. And he's sitting there, and he's saying, let's blow him out of the water. And Hillary says, so he said, let's blow him out of the water and start another war. And Trump interrupts with, that would not have started a war. Are you kidding me? As soon as 9/11 happened, what happened? We went to war. Pearl Harbor went to war. If civilians are killed in non-wartime by another country, 99% of the time, you're going to war.
Well, to be fair, and I'm remembering maybe he didn't say he would blow them out of the water. He was saying that the general should have, or something like that. He was totally on the side that they should have. However, to your point that that would have started a war, and he was saying no, it wouldn't have. It probably would have created an international incident, and they weren't civilians. They were Iranian military.
But with the relationship that Iran and the United States has, it would have started a war. It's an international incident if it's Italy or England or Israel, God forbid.
Well, they're our allies, so I don't know.
No, yeah, those are our allies. That would be an international incident. When it comes to Iran, that is war.
It is very likely to escalate into war, yes. Now, can
Iran get to us? No, and that's probably what Trump's defense would be: is they can't get to us. They don't have the technology, and you know what? They may not have the technology, but they can strike our allies. And if our allies see that we are going to be a detriment to their people's health or their progression, you think they're going to be our allies for long?
Here's my thing, and it was also in response to one of Trump's comments with regards to how no one pays their fair share. I'm going to be honest, I don't know the percentages. I do know that America is one of the largest arms brokers in the world, and we largely sell to our allies, those people who are part of all our treaties and all of our defense contracts and all of our attempts to try and make sure that they remain safe. Part of the way that they remain safe is that we sell them defense contracts in armaments and in just, and people hanging out and helping out. And so military bases and so forth. This is not against the military.
Hopefully you guys, it says so it's connected again. Okay, sorry, we lost the microphone for a minute. Our dogs, again, lower middle class production here, ladies and gentlemen. We ain't lying.
But so, I guess, it's, which I would have liked to have heard from her, which is a critique against her, criticism against her, and against the larger government, that everyone, the politicians and so forth, they won't tell you the truth about a lot of things. That is unfortunately real. No one talks about where the money is going, how it is being spent. If one thing that Trump said was that if he had paid taxes, it would have been squandered, and that was his point against Hillary. And I understand that point. I don't necessarily agree with it because I know it's not as clear cut as, well, where'd the money go? You guys didn't spend it right. Like, no, we didn't, but it wasn't necessarily because we spent it on this thing instead of this thing.
Maybe we didn't have enough to divide everything the way we needed to.
We have enough. We have enough to divide amongst everything. We choose not to. And part of that is largely because of the lobbyists. I'm just going to put it out there. Someone comes in and says, I want this much money for this thing, and I am going to spend money to this politician to get the vote that I want that's going to give my business or my community the money that I need. Now, that's how government works. Unfortunately, but that's just how it works. I mean, that's literally honestly how any federal program honestly works. Your federal grants, anything for school, roads, bridges, someone has to go in and do the math and allocate this much money to this community based off of this grant because of this reason. So on and so
welcome
on.
To the Republic of the United States.
Well, no, but that's how it goes. And you have income from the Treasury coming in based off of taxes and tax revenue. It is largely due because you are anticipating paying certain things out to the rest of the people who are paying in. That is how a government, that's how a republic works. That's how we're able to have federal programs in the first goddamn place. And that's, granted, maybe it could work better, but I'm not saying that it's not working. Here's the thing, though. if we're going to do a better job of it, we have to be honest. We have to be honest about it.
Yep.
And while, no, they didn't get into the questions about Benghazi and as much about the emails people wanted to hear from her, I wish they could have spent more time, honestly, on the birther lie, which is going to call it what it is
I
right now.
really wish they didn't spend any time on it.
On which part?
The birther.
Oh, I'm glad they spent any time on it. I wish they spent more.
I do not.
Because I think
not
that's
at all.
bullshit.
I don't think it's. The presidential debate is to convince us of your legitimacy as a candidate for the president of the United States. As far as I'm concerned, the birther movement has nothing to do with that. You want to spend time on the birther movement? Spend time with it somewhere else, not on the presidential debate.
Well, here's the thing. Two things. One, Lester Holt was trying to get at the notion of race with regards to the birther movement and
Yes.
how it played with the African American community.
But the question was not about the birther movement.
Yeah, no. The question was how his perpetuation of it was about it, how it would play the African American community and how it would deal with race relations. And Trump completely walked over him, just talked over him, and barely let him get the question out. And so there's one thing. And then two, when you talk about the legitimacy of the presidency, there is somebody who has been calling in question for many years the legitimacy of the president up until about 2 weeks ago when people were like, hey, by the way, do you still mean this? And he couldn't give an answer until about a week and a half ago when he's finally like, oh, yeah, but I'm past that. Like,
Who was that?
What do you mean?
Who said that? Who are you referring to?
Well, I'm referring to Trump, but Trump will say I'm referring to Hillary, so I'm not sure the answer to that question is.
Yeah, right?
But the idea is that that needs to be a legitimate discussion amongst candidates when at least one of them is accusing the other one of having started it while the other one is clearly on the record of having perpetuated it. Then I don't see a reason why it can't be part of the discussion. Here is the sitting president of the United States. You cannot deny, I hope you don't deny, that there is at least some sort of racial tone to it. And so the idea is that, well, anyone listening, I would like to know if anyone listening would be able to deny it, and I'd like to know their rationale for so. Because I'm going to have a different perspective. Maybe because I'm African American, maybe because I'm a rational thinking person. I don't know. But the idea is...
You can't see us. She is African American, I am Caucasian, so let's get that out of the way before people think
if you haven't seen our picture yet.
Two African American... Black Lives Matter crazies, as some people like to think of them.
Thugs.
Yeah,
that's
thugs.
The term we're using.
Thugs. That's the term.
Yeah.
I support Black Lives Matter, but I do not support violent protests. I do want to make that clear. But
no, that's not what Black Lives Matter.
I know. But some people think they're one and the same,
and that's a shame.
It is a shame. But I'm just pointing out that I am in support of Black Lives Matter. I am not in support of violent protests, and they are not one and the same.
Okay. So, but the point is that you're asking that, and I was saying that this is why it's legitimate, and I would like to hear more, because if he was accusing her of having perpetuated this or having started it, then I would have liked to have heard her at least answer it. Maybe she felt she didn't need to. Maybe she felt she didn't have to. And I think that's honestly probably one of Hillary Clinton's biggest weaknesses, personally, is that because she's been in the game for so long, as I don't even know all of her credentials, honestly, because she's been in it for so long.
And you said she didn't mention, she didn't approach what subject?
A few, but Benghazi.
The one you're talking about right now.
Specifically. About the...
race?
Yeah.
Well, that's not true.
No. I was saying that essentially he was saying that she should have said more about it. I was saying that I agree that she could have said more about it, but but the idea was
race,
that
right?
Not just race about the birther movement, but the idea was that one of Trump's biggest strengths has been whenever he talks about business and about money and about where our money is going and the fact that it's not going into our pockets, he always sounds strong. Hillary Clinton sounds weak by comparison when she does not answer questions, or when she deflects, or when she tries to give an answer that essentially is, I don't understand why this is an issue. Now, granted, he does the same fucking thing, but for some reason, the problem is that because she's been in the public eye for so long, and because the whole Clinton-Lewinsky scandal for me growing
Surprised
up,
you didn't bring that up.
yet. For me, growing up watching that as a teenager, and that really being the first presidential scandal that I really had my first teeth to cut my teeth on, to listen to and watch and learn about. The idea was like, how are you gonna find some way to deflect this? And people being like, I don't understand how he's not answering the question. It's obvious what he did, and he's just not owning up to it.
That was not one of Clinton's brightest moments.
No, and at the same time, it's kind of like, this is bullshit. Why the fuck are we spending so much time on it?
Yeah, why do we care?
When we could be 80%, I don't know what the statistic was, but at the time, like 80% of the people were like, this is bullshit. And this is what the statistic was. Maybe it didn't say this is bullshit.
And he still got impeached.
He got, I think he was actually impeached, but he didn't vote to actually be impeached, like to actually lose his job or something like that.
But he didn't get reelected because of it.
Well, no, he didn't get reelected because it was the end of his term.
Oh.
But he left with like gigantic approval ratings and however many $1 billion surplus in the treasury. So.
And they still want Republican next one.
Well.
Okay. So.
Bad PR exists.
I want to go back to something else. I wanted to bring up something. Trying to stick around an hour here, so we only got like 19 minutes left, so I'm trying to get into some other thing. It was... crap, I had it for a second.
I feel like we have to have notes when we do this. We're going to have notes next time. I swear to God.
We are doing this on the fly. I am very much in favor of this channel being one take, one go.
I may have been drinking also.
Maybe. But, okay, so I was going... there was another problem that a lot of people said, and it was they brought up Trump's problems with his tax returns, with this, with that, with this, his racism, his underlying racism, stuff like that. And I would like to bring up, since you did mention race, when Trump was asked about race, he did not answer any questions about racism. Hillary sat there, and again, I paused and applauded her for this, that she acknowledged that the life, no matter the financial circumstances, the life of an African-American young man and an African or a Caucasian man, same age, same financial circumstances, same all that, is going to be completely different based on race. She acknowledged that white privilege exists.
Without saying
white privilege exists. And I applauded her for that, for having the insight to see, yes, this is a problem in our society. But if we can get past that, a problem I heard that a lot of people, or at least Fox News said...
I really wanted to comment on what you just said a second ago, though. So
in a second. A problem that Fox News at least said was in this debate was they focused a lot on Trump's problems, the underlying racism, the birther movement, the tax return situation, all that. They focused on that. And they didn't bring up Benghazi. They mentioned the emails, but they didn't bring up Benghazi or any of other Hillary's problems. Okay, well, let's look at the debate itself. When Trump is taking 5 to 10 minutes to interrupt or deflect a question completely away from the source question itself, there's only so much time the debate is given. I have full confidence that the moderator, Lester Holt, had those questions about Benghazi, about all those problems that Harry has. I have full confidence that he had those prepared and ready. But because of Trump's actions sabotaged himself, as far as I'm concerned, because his normal way of running a debate of just attacking other candidates and keeping the focus off of him as much as possible, because he was on the defensive so much, because it just so happened that the way he had it set up, they went over Trump's faults before they went over Hillary's faults. He sabotaged himself by dragging that out, so now Hillary doesn't have to worry about it because they don't have time to bring it up.
I guess to the comment that they didn't bring up these things, They could have chosen to use those questions over others. They had more questions that were specifically aimed at him than they did at her, and that is, I think, a legitimate critique. I think that they probably could have used more time. Let me finish.
I have a response.
I'm not done talking. The idea was that they could have used more time rather than using one question that was to both of them. They could have said, well, I asked him this question and I asked him another question. I've only asked her one. Let me ask her another one. So now we have it even. The problem being, of course, will we ever get to any of the other larger issues, which we need to get to as American public? It's not just about the campaigns and not their specific scandals. It's about the larger thing. So I guess the question is, when do you make the determination as to saying, I'm going to go after him versus her? Now, I did want to say something else with regards to one of the things you said earlier, so please make your
Hello,
response.
Gabe, and welcome to the broadcast.
Hello. Thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you very much for watching. So, my thing, the thing I want to say real quick was that, yes, you think it's a legitimate critique that they asked more questions of Trump scandals than Hillary's scandals, but I saw that the moderator, Lester Holt, had a very specific format of how he was running this.
Yes.
He had sections.
Yes.
The first section was the economy and prosperity, which handles a lot of Trump problems. Then the second section was race. They barely got out of race before the end of the debate.
Well, it was America's future. And
America's future.
And he specifically used that point. And they couldn't get anything else.
Most of Hillary's issues have to do with foreign policy.
That's not race.
Exactly. That's my point. My point is that Lester Holt made these sections, and I bet foreign policy was going to be a later section, but they never got to it because Trump dragged out the race thing so long.
Well, and he wasn't
even talking about race.
And here's my thing, and we're talking about race, and this is actually back to the question, comment you said earlier, and this is in trying to understand the debate and trying to understand the campaigns. And that is, when you bring up the point about Hillary acknowledging that, she used specifically the point of, if you have two people going before a judge, essentially, she didn't say it in this many ways, but that a black man is more likely to get arrested, convicted, and charged and sentenced, and probably for a longer time. I don't know if she said that or not, but essentially, he's going to face harsher penalties than a white guy going up in front of the judge for the same crime, and this is true.
That is well documented. And that guy, that white guy who got 6 months for rape.
Oh, God damn it! We're just gonna look at statistics here, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we're just gonna go with that. It's pretty much down the middle.
It's garbage.
But so the issue is, though, that this is, I think, honestly, where we're at in our country, is that, granted, Trump didn't really mention it or even really talk about it, and I think that's part of the problem. To me, it's part of the problem. Other people, they don't see the problem. Hillary is acknowledging or trying to acknowledge an issue that exists within our society. And Trump, and to his credit, but Trump is saying essentially that that's not the problem. But when you have two people arguing over, it's not just like, this is the problem, no, this is the problem. It's, this is a problem, and someone's saying, no, it's not. That's not really arguing over how to come up with a solution. Hillary had solutions. Whether you agree with them or not, that's up to you. But at least she's coming up with some solutions. He is saying that that's not a problem, so we shouldn't be thinking about it. And honestly, in my opinion, that's not really getting at the crux of the argument. That is essentially ignoring it so you can focus on something else. And while you do that, you are now creating an us versus them. She might be doing it too, whether inadvertently, but that's because the them, I guess, on this side from her, would be saying that you guys are wrong, where she's saying you guys are included in this. This is part of what's going on. And that is, I think, where where this campaign, where this whole election has come down to, is that people are saying, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem, this needs to change. And other people are saying, I don't see that problem. And other people are saying, on the other side,
Gabe, real quick, Ariane's going to finish her point. We are coming up on the end of the stream, and if anyone who's watching wants to post questions in the comments on the side like Gabe just did, we will answer that question for you. At the end, we will have a Q&A kind of thing where we will talk to you guys. We'll stay on for a little bit longer and talk to you guys. So please stick around. We will get to those questions. So go ahead and keep putting those questions in the comment box. We will answer all of them at the end. Continue your point.
Okay, so my point, I guess I'm trying to make this quick, I'm sorry, is the idea that either you're on one side, either there is a problem or there isn't a problem. And I don't think that necessarily some of the problems that Trump and Trump supporters have brought up, the Republican side has brought up, saying that these are problems within the country. And everyone, I think, agrees that, yes, these are fucking problems. We're arguing over on that notion what to do about them. But when it comes to other problems that the Democratic side is trying to bring up, then it's, well, those aren't problems. And I think that's honestly one of the issues with this debate, and certainly one of the issues with this election, is that we are not as a country on the same page on so many things. And that in of itself, to me, is a problem. Even if you don't agree with white privilege, even if you don't agree with some of the issues as far as blue lives matter, Black lives matters, the idea is you have to acknowledge that there is a problem that people can't agree on it. That, I think, should be an issue that we can at least talk about before we start coming up with solutions for anything.
Yes, I agree. Now, Gabe, we will be uploading, I upload gameplay videos every once in a while. We will be uploading on special events like this, the election, future debates, any major world news. You can just subscribe to the channel and check it out periodically. If you don't catch a live stream, it's still going to be on the channel, and we will have our thoughts and views on certain things in the world as kind of the average Joe's look at it. Thanks for that question. Again, we will get to your previous question in just a minute. I had one more point to make, and then we have to get on to the next section of our stream before we close here.
Oh, dear Lord. Sorry, you guys. We are smokers, by the way. I hope that doesn't offend anyone. And we have the door closed, and unfortunately...
And I forgot there was a smoke alarm in here.
Hey, it's gone
okay.
now.
So, that's taken care of now. Okay, so... What I wanted to say, the one point I wanted to say before we get to the next section, so keep that in mind, we're going to the next section next. So just real quick, I want to bring up that Donald Trump did make one specific answer in his thing that really stuck out to me. He had a couple of specifics, but this one really stuck out to me. At the very beginning of the debate, he said that he is going to cut taxes on business owners by, I think he said, like 7%.
20%.
20%.
Take it from 35% to 15%.
That's what it was. 20%. And he said that this is going to increase jobs. So that is looking at it, in my opinion, that is looking at it at a very arithmetic point of view. Or mathematic point of view. You're looking at it, okay, we give the business owners more money, they'll hire more people. That's not how it works. You're basically putting your faith in a business owner that they will hire another person instead of taking a vacation with their family, or getting their kid their new bike, or getting their kid the new iPad that just came out, which is probably more relevant to a bike nowadays. And they sit here, and he sits here and he wants me to believe that a business owner will not have the greed to just keep the money for himself and better his life. We are working on getting a camera, Gabe, so we will have vlogs in the future. Right now it's just podcasts, but we will have vlogs in the future as soon as I get a camera. We are working on it. Again, this is a lower middle class podcast. That's kind of the reason we're doing this. Kind of show the other side that's not getting paid off by Democrats or Republicans. And so that's what we're going for here. So again, I don't believe that a business owner will take the initiative. Not every business owner will take the initiative to hire someone else instead of put the money in their own pocket for their own family. So now I want to get on to the next section of our stream, which was body language. We got over our basically takeaways from the debate, Now I want to go over body language, because if you remember back in the, I believe it was 70s, you will correct me.
Nixon, Kennedy.
Of course.
That was 1960.
Okay, so 1960. My history memory is horrible, folks, but I do retain a lot of facts. Basically, Kennedy beat Nixon because of the introduction of television on debates. Because Nixon didn't know how to use makeup. He was sweating profusely. He looked nervous. And that really hurt him in the race. So body language is extremely important, and I want to talk about the body language in this debate. Hillary was stone cold. You watch the debate again, look at Trump. His eyes are rolling, his eyes are squinting, he's reacting, he's moving to every single little thing. He is very not still. Whereas Hillary is very still and very stoic and very much straightforward. Then you look over it and you see Trump, water. I saw him take at least 10, 15 drinks of water in that debate. Whereas I don't remember seeing Hillary take a drink of water. That kind of body language tells me that Trump was not ready. He was not prepared, and because of his approach to debates, which is attacking everyone else and keeping the vision off of him, with how much he had to work at that, he was getting worn out way before Hillary was.
Interesting about stamina.
Stamina brought up at the end of the debate. Interesting about that when Trump seemed to lose a lot of steam near the end of the debate.
Well, so I was going to say that,
Again, we'll get to your questions in about 4 minutes. We're just going to cover body language real quick, do a final thing, and then we will answer the questions.
So, with regards to body language, again, while I think that traditionally it would seem like Hillary won, and anyone who's done a debate either in high school, and everyone's like probably had some sort of speech and debate class, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people probably have, and if you were paying attention, which a lot of people might have been, maybe they weren't so much, but the idea was that a lot of times it's not so much about what you say, it's how you say it. You can come up with any sort of crazy ass bullshit you want, but if it makes you look like you are in control, then you can win the debate.
Yeah.
And while to an extent I feel like Trump lost it in those terms, the question wasn't about necessarily if he looked presidential. That's what it should have been. I think that's honestly what it's become now.
It should be.
As when you mentioned the Nixon-Kennedy debate, it was about Kennedy looking more, not only more presidential, but looking cooler, looking more professional, looking more polished.
Yes.
But in this debate and in this election, a lot of the old rules have gone out of the window. And so I think that for people who are watching, who were probably already on the side of Hillary, they're looking at her thinking, oh, well, she's on her game. Like, she's completely poised and confident in what she's talking about, and she's not really rattled, which is important. I would think that it would be an important thing to have as a presidential nominee. Whereas those people who are watching and were supportive of Trump might be like, well, he wasn't letting her get away with anything. He was being himself. And being himself may not necessarily be presidential, but he was being himself, and that would be enough necessarily to sway their vote. That he was acting like how I would if someone was telling me some bullshit. And granted, there have been times in all of our lives where we have heard someone say some crazy, out of left field crap. That we're just like, that's completely out of left field. It's really hard to control your bodily emotions and, body language at that point, because everything inside you wants to just yell out, that's bullshit! And you're doing everything you can not to. But I guess the idea is, though, also, again, we mentioned the spectacle of the debate, and by comparison to previous other televised debates, and how much of a circus this has become, it's okay that he was not being presidential. That's not where his support is. His support is not from people who want him to look like the same old politician. That's what the media wants him to look like, because that's what they're used to covering. I'm not saying one way or the other which one I prefer, because I can see why someone would be attracted to that. At the same time, I can really see why someone would be completely turned off by it. But I guess the idea is that if you're going to be president, then it's still important to be able to have that control. Everyone can be the sullen teenager. Hell, I've worked in education, and I know that you have those people who just are rolling their eyes, not caring about anything you're saying. Some of us have been there. Some of us have been those kids. And then some of us have also seen those kids and been like, "Would they shut the fuck up?" And I guess it depends on which one you are aligning with at this point. Are you one of the people who are sitting there like, "Oh my god, dude, just shut the fuck up"? Or are you one of those like, "Yeah, man, I'm doing that too"? Which one are you?
So, yeah, that's a great point. And again, I say, from the body language standpoint, it looked like Trump was in panic mode, especially near the second half of that debate. So, final thing before we get to the Q&As. Final thing, simple, short answer. Baby, Ariane, who won the debate?
I think Hillary did. I might be biased, and it's going to get to a question that we had earlier, but I think it's mainly because she was able to answer the questions.
Yes.
I was looking to hear from both candidates what their vision of America was going to be and how they were going to actually accomplish it. And whether I agreed with everything Hillary was saying or not, which I didn't. And while I agreed to an extent to some of the things that even Trump was saying as far as some of the ideas that he had about what's wrong, I didn't really hear a whole lot from him about a plan.
How?
Exactly.
How? That is the question that Donald Trump still has yet to answer, is how. And I agree with her. I believe Hillary won the debate. So now we are going to take your guys' questions. Thank you, Gabe, for sticking around with us. Thank you for everyone who jumped in. And now we're going to take some questions for you. So if you have any other questions, Gabe, we'll be happy to answer them. We'll stick around for probably 10 more minutes as long as questions are coming in and answer some questions. So I believe your first question was, who are you voting for president? Which is really a personal question, and not a lot of people usually like to answer that. Me personally, I do not care. I don't believe that any subject in our society should be taboo. I believe you should be able to talk freely about whatever you want. That is the beauty of the freedom of speech. So I will tell you that right now I am leaning heavily towards Hillary. This is a active sway for me. I will go back and forth depending on who is making the best point. And right now, after that debate, Hillary is the front runner for me right now. Sweetheart?
Hillary.
All right.
I want to say a couple things. And saying that, I was a Bernie supporter. I voted for Bernie. I was very proud that Indiana went Bernie during the Democratic primary. Largely because at that point I knew that we were irrelevant in the election, because the reality is that Indiana doesn't ever care. And not doesn't care. Indiana very rarely ever fucking matters in a presidential election.
Yeah.
Partially because we're smaller, partially because we're almost always Republican, and partially because
that's really annoying.
When it comes to primaries, we come so late in the primary that by the time that it gets to us, everyone already knows who's gonna fucking win.
Yeah.
So at that point, it was kind of like, well, if we actually have a chance in making a difference, then I'm gonna make my vote count, and I'm gonna say I want Bernie to win, because I agree with some of the points he was making with regards to the need for change and revolution within our society. With regards to the political, economic, and social disparities that exist. Yeah. I think that he had, while I know that Hillary has a very good grasp on a lot of this, I think that she's too much into the system about trying to work within the system to be able to actually change it. Yes. I think there's a really big problem with her. However, that being said, I would vote for my fucking cat before I vote for Trump. Yes. Only because I think that my cat is more honest than Trump is. Yeah. And I know that people were saying...
And just as loud.
And insults me slightly less. And so with the difference is, I think, and this is one of the things I think is just ridiculous. The people were talking about how Hillary's trustworthiness and how like she lies all the time, blah blah blah. I'm like,
Trump doesn't.
Are you fucking kidding? I'm sorry, I don't get it. If you can't tell me the truth about something as simple as the birther thing, that pissed me off major. Or with regards to God, what was another one that came up? Oh, he was talking about this big family plan that came up recently. He was talking about, Hillary doesn't have one, but she's had one on her website for months. Then it's like, that's an outright lie. And I don't understand why people aren't calling him out on it. And they thankfully started doing it, kind of. But, I mean, the idea is that, why did it take you this fucking long to do it?
Yes.
And so, no, I am a Hillary Clinton supporter because of all the people who are in the room, which is just those two right now. I think that she has the most realistic version and vision of how we're going to get this shit accomplished. Yes. Will it be 100% successful? Hell no.
I agree.
But I think she's going to do everything she can to get it done. And I think that she has the best idea on the table right now.
Okay. So your next question was, what's your top 3 video games, and do you have an Android phone or iPhone? Yes, we both have Androids. I know, and I think I know where you're going with that. I know you can do vlogs from your Android phone. We didn't think about it tonight. And honestly, I don't want to hold the phone like that for this long.
You need a selfie stick, baby.
Yeah, we need a selfie stick. Right, that's what I want to spend money on. Again, lower middle class people, we don't waste our time on selfie sticks.
But no, I don't want to spend $5 or $10 on a selfie stick. Personal opinion.
So, yes, we do have an Android phone. So we may do some vlogs if we know they're going to be shorter.
Yes.
Possibly in the future.
Yes.
Off the phone. Till then, I am working on getting a PlayStation camera to get our faces out there. Our pretty faces.
Top 3 video games?
Top 3 video games. If you're I don't know if you're talking about on the channel or personally. Which could be 2 different things. So I'll answer both. On the channel, our most populars have been Madden 17, Resident Evil, and Alien Isolation.
Yeah.
Those are probably our top on the channel. Probably because Alien Isolation and Resident Evil, those are just terrifying games, and everyone loves to watch and laugh at us screaming, crying, and cussing.
Fuck those games.
At those games. And Madden 17 simply because it is a high demand game, I believe. Also, I think I'm okay at it, so I can provide some helpful tips. Now, top 3 video games all time, just cause it would have to be, number 1 would have to be, end of story, end of discussion. I know you'll agree with me, The Last of Us.
Okay.
We are huge Naughty Dog fans. We love Naughty Dog. Uncharted, Last of Us, Crash Bandicoot, you name it, Naughty Dog, we like it, probably. So Last of Us is definitely my favorite game of all time. I thought the narrative was gorgeous. I thought the narrative was well written. The scenery was gorgeous. I remember there's one moment in the game where you come across a giraffe, and we were really debating whether that was a live video of a giraffe or not.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous scenery and just a great play. It's really playable. Number 2, as just a franchise, I would have to say Battlefield for me. I enjoy war games, and they stay more true to reality than Call of Duty does. I can't stand Call of Duty nowadays, personally, because quickscoping is not a real thing. Welcome to reality. I like bullet drop. I like all that kind of realisticness, so that's kind of why I stick with Battlefield. Third, I would have to say Madden. I have gotten every Madden game every year since 2004, I believe. I'm a big football fan. I love football. I love the sport of football. I love the science of football. I disgust my wife here with some of my knowledge of football.
This is true.
She sat there one day at dinner, and she was asking me just like random positions in teams. She would give me a position in a team, and I would have to name a player in that position, and she could not stump me, and it disgusted her. She was talking about like left guards, right guards, centers, left tackles, just the most obscure positions that no one ever knows, and I was able to just rattle off names like whatever. Sorry, he asked about video games. Now I'm rambling. I'm sorry, I'm assuming he, because Gabe. That was my top 3. So those are the top 3 video games for us on the channel.
For
me.
Yeah.
For me. Would you like to?
Yeah, I agree with the top 3 video games that we have on the channel.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious.
Those are some numbers.
We are still growing.
As far as top 3 video games for me, I agree. Last of Us, I have said multiple times, I will continue to say it's the best video game ever made. I am not as big a gamer, I will be honest.
I like that. Continue. We're
Okay,
gonna.
yeah.
Oh God, I like this guy. Make sure you subscribe. We'd love to see you in future channels.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Top 3 video games for me, Last of Us #1 for all the reasons that he mentioned. And just the story was amazing. Just the story,
Oh,
the
God.
playthrough, just
Oh my God! So many times I almost cried during that game.
Yeah.
We're just like, what the fuck?
No, yeah. That goes without saying. #2 and #3 are really hard for me because I have so many other games because I'm one of those people who I don't play a lot of different video games. I find one and then I will play it into the fucking ground.
Oh, yeah.
And so #2 has to be for me Perfect Dark. For those who don't know, and I guess it's just one person watching right now, but anyone watching in the future, for those who don't know what Perfect Dark is, it was
Awesome. Thanks for the sub.
okay, yeah. So it's a video game that came out on the N64 from the Rare software developers. They're the same people who did GoldenEye. They did Donkey Kong Country. They did Marble Madness, Conker's Bad Fur Day, a few other things.
Awesomeness.
Shit, I can't. There's another really big one. I'm gonna be really shitty that I don't remember what it was.
And I'll tell you, you said the name right.
Yeah, Perfect Dark.
Okay, so I will tell you, and I know you still have one more game to list off, but I will tell you, I played Perfect Dark with Ariane. I played many games with Ariane. We played the Uncharted series. We played 3.5 Uncharted games together. Last of Us we played together. I played a lot of games with her, and she was a okay gamer.
Yeah.
I would say average. Pretty good. She has her moments. She has her awesome moments where we're just like, holy shit, she did it! And we're high-fiving and we're hugging and whatever. But I watched her play Perfect Dark, and it was like a total transformation of her video gaming skills. Just the most badass motherfucker on an N64 stick I have ever seen. Just flawlessly. And in my opinion, the N64 controller is much more complicated than the controllers nowadays.
I disagree. I really disagree.
Well, I know we disagree on that, but that's just my opinion.
It's bulkier.
So to watch her masterfully navigate this pretty complicated controller, at least for me, was a huge reason I asked her to marry me. Number 3.
So it was real fast. Perfect Dark. It came out after GoldenEye. I think it was being developed around the same time. It used a very similar engine as far as first-person shooter. Actually, the multiplayer utilizes some of the same levels from GoldenEye because they made the same fucking game. Who cares? But one of the things that I really liked about it was the story. I really liked about, it was a first person. The main character was this badass heroine.
Yeah.
Which
is always a winner for you.
Always. And
get away from her, you bitch!
Yeah, exactly. And 3 words. Laptop Sentry Gun. Oh my god. Dude, just fucking all the crazy shit they came up with for, #1, the training level. #2, the different types of weapons they came up with. I don't know how innovative they were or what you see later on, because again, I don't play very many video games, so I don't know what you'll see that's going to be the exact same or whatever, but just that in of itself kept me playing, especially the multiplayer version, which everyone who played GoldenEye knows is awesome. And Perfect Dark was just as good, if not better. So my third game, oh god, it's really, really hard for me to pick.
I'm surprised. I really expected you to go Melee.
I want to say Melee, but I'm not. I'm not going to say
Melee, by the way.
Melee was one of my favorite games, no goddamn doubt. But and I'm really big into
Kart.
old school,
or Mario. Yeah, pick a Mario game.
Yeah, Mario games. Like pretty much, like you name one, I've probably played most of them at least up until maybe the Wii or Wii U. Yeah. But I am actually gonna say Monkey Ball.
I can see that actually.
Monkey Ball is probably one of my favorite games to play. It is this obscure game that came out for, I think it was an arcade version that came out first, but they came out with one for the GameCube. Again, I'm a big Nintendo fan. And it's just got so much replayability. And I hated all the other versions that came out afterwards that I played because I think they went too kidsy. Yeah. But the first one was awesome. there not only was the main game itself, where you're playing essentially this weird ass Marble Madness version, that just kind of like is really super challenging, which is great in and of itself.
These questions are pouring in. We got to start moving.
No, yeah, but also the idea of the mini games, which were so fantastic, and just and all this like multiplayer, like they're really great party games.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend.
Okay, so the next question was who was our favorite YouTubers?
Yes.
And we will do a top 3, same thing. And I think our answers will be pretty similar here because we watch YouTube together.
Yeah.
So I would say top 3 in no particular order because they're all really close. Geek and Sundry.
Yeah.
I am a huge Titan's Grave and Critical Role fan. She introduced me to Tabletop, which got me into it in the first place. And Tabletop is amazing.
And I think they're also responsible for the Guild and everything.
Yes, they did
LARP.
Guild, which was fun. LARPs is a cool show. I watched the entire first season in the afternoon. That was fun. So, Geek and Sundry, of course, they're awesome. Will Wheaton is amazing.
Yes.
And he does not use loaded dice. Fuck everyone who thinks he does.
Dashy.
Oh, Dashy would be right up there too. Dashy Games and Dashy XP. Both, he is just ridiculously entertaining.
Huge influence on both of us.
Yes, he is one of the reasons I got into this. He is just one of those regular guys. You get to watch him play games, and he has some of the coolest, funniest reactions ever.
Yeah.
And some of the coolest little stints. I mean, I look forward to every Saturday when he posts Mario Maker.
Yes.
And he talks to Satan. If you press the I or something in the title of Super Mario Maker,
super fast or super slow-mo.
Yeah, it'll record your voice in super slow-mo, and he basically refers to it as Satan, and he asks himself ridiculous questions. It's hilarious to me. So Dashy's a big one. And third?
Game Grumps.
Third would be Game Grumps or Blasphemous.
Blasphemous is really cool. We haven't really watched him as much.
Funny as hell. He is another one of those kind of regular Joes.
He kind of reminds me of Dashy a lot.
Yeah, he's like a black Dashy, I guess.
Very similar style of humor, very similar commentary. They are not related in any way. They do not, as far as elaborate.
And Blasphemous usually does reaction videos from what I've seen. And the one thing I like about him that I don't see in a lot of reaction videos is that he posts a link and gives full credit to the original video and everything and encourages you to watch it. But also he's just, again, one of those regular guys who brings his friends or his wife in to watch these crazy videos and react to them, and he's a funny guy. He's really good. I would.
Dashy's the Latin Blasphemous.
Huh?
Dashy's the Hispanic.
Yeah, Dashy is the Hispanic Blasphemous or Latin Blasphemous. I don't know his heritage, so I hope I don't offend him. And Game Grumps. Game Grumps, of course, is up there. We love Game Grumps. They're funny as hell.
Look up, what was it, Troll Island? My God.
Yeah, they have their dry moments, but they have their also moments that are just pure fucking gold. So what would be the worst way for you to die if you don't mind answering?
Ooh.
We're getting a little dark here.
It's okay, I like that.
But it's okay because we have a dark sense of humor. So
there's so many horrible ways to die.
Worst way for me to die, personally, would be being burned alive. It takes too goddamn long.
Yeah. No,
and and I burn myself constantly. I'm a smoker. I burn myself with my cigarettes or lighter, not paying attention, whatever. That's not a constant pain I want to be feeling.
There are so many horrible ways to die. There's suffocation, strangulation, trampling, drowning, fire, stabbing. Stabbing's really bad.
Yeah, if I have to go, make it quick and instantaneous, please.
Yeah, no. I guess, and I could probably get really creative with it, but I'm not going to because I have to give more time for me to
Yeah, we have more questions, so.
So I would think, being torn apart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like just like being ripped apart.
Yeah,
like, oh my God, fucking like, what was that Red Dragon, or was it Hannibal or something, where the guy's getting eaten by like pigs or something? Spoiler alert.
Drowning.
That's a good one too. No, drowning's a good one. I would think that cold is bad. Cold is also bad. The opposite of fire.
Freezing to
death.
But
at least like freezing to death or like getting warm and you kind of just go to sleep. That's not so bad.
Oh no, his is being buried alive.
Oh
yeah. If you say that, then I have a huge recommendation for you. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen in my entire life. It's called Buried.
Yeah.
Please
Ryan Reynolds,
watch it.
Really
Ryan Reynolds stars in it. It is one of my favorite movies. If you have not seen it already, please go watch that. Okay, so let's move on to the next question, which was, which would you rather be attacked by, a shark or an alligator?
What was the next one? Was there another one before it?
No, the one before that was how would you rather die? And I'm sure he'll correct us if we're wrong. So shark or alligator? I am going to go with shark.
You know what, alligator?
And here's why. Shark... One, I love sharks. Ever since I've seen Jaws, I've been fascinated by sharks, and I love sharks. But also, the reason they edge out alligators to me, sharks will bite you and just devour you in one bite. Alligators have that, what's it called? The death roll.
Yeah.
The gator roll.
Yeah.
I am so fucking good on the gator roll.
Oh, rather, yeah.
I do not want to be dragged underwater and then twisted into submission. To where I'm basically begging you to eat me at this point.
Well, yeah, I guess there's a difference because also a shark you can see coming.
Yeah.
You know, the fin and the Jaws music playing and everything. You're trying to swim and you just can't get away. And so is that worse? Not seeing it coming or seeing it coming? Because seeing it coming, the suspense of knowing that it's coming after you not be able to do anything about it would be awful. But the idea of being dragged off by an alligator and then eaten
Twisted
slowly, it's really, really a tough call. So I don't have an answer for it. I'm just begging someone to have a gun nearby and shoot me.
All right, the next one, which do you have, a laptop or a desktop?
Laptop.
We currently have a laptop.
We want a desktop. We're working on it.
Yes, it is a slow process. We just made a big transition moving from... You can fight off a shark. Yes, you can. You cannot fight off an alligator.
I don't want to know.
Or it's harder to fight off an alligator. But what I was saying was we just got through a big transition. We were living in Chicagoland. Yeah. Right next to Gary, actually.
In Northwest Indiana.
Northwest Indiana. And we just moved a couple months ago to Indianapolis. And so money is a meh thing right now. And the desktop kind of has to wait. We kind of just have to survive with our laptop right now. But we are planning out furnishing the house, getting more studio equipment, putting on better broadcast for you so you don't have to look at a Madden screen the whole fucking time. But yes, that is coming. But right now we simply have a laptop. We'll give you about a minute or so if you have any other questions for us. Otherwise, we're going to get ready to start wrapping up here. Again, the debate was interesting. It was entertaining.
Can I ask you a question, baby?
There was less what the fuck moments from Trump than I was expecting. That's not saying much, though. The bar is set really low for that.
Let me ask you a question.
Your question.
I'm going to ask you a question. So, God, I had it and I lost it for a second. So, what would you have liked to have seen from either candidate today? Both. Give me one for Trump, one for Clinton.
From Trump, I would have liked to see more specifics.
Okay.
He did not give enough, and I knew he wasn't going to. So I would have liked to see more specifics from Trump. And from Hillary, honestly, I would have liked to see her fight back a little more. I see her point. I see why she did it. But honestly, I just want someone to give it to Trump.
Well, she did a good job, I think, of occasionally the quips.
No, she had her jabs, and they were gems. Every single jab she had was gems.
No, yeah.
But
I know your point. The same level of energy that he brought, which I think also is... I don't know what to say this is a strength. I don't necessarily see it as a strength, but I understand why others would. But the idea is that, no, she came out. One of the first things she said was about how this is her granddaughter's birthday and so forth and so on. And so it was it's Grandma Hillary, and that was kind of the tone that she tried to set.
I was waiting for, your grandma.
Well, he's 70, so I would think that he's a grandfather at this point. Then again, maybe
he is a grandfather. I forgot about that.
Children have been procreating.
Still, he was so misogynistic, which is another thing I noticed.
He wasn't overtly, but it
was underlying.
Yeah. Well, I guess the idea is that I'm wondering if there's anything that would sway you. Right now, you say you're leaning. And I am curious as to what would it take, and this is what they.
By the way, while we're talking, you can keep the questions coming.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We will keep this going. I mean, we got the debate part out of the way, so anyone who's sticking around now knows it's just basically a Q&A and random discussion. We do have to get to bed at some point, but we do have some time. So if you have more questions, please keep them coming. And we are getting to those.
No, yeah. I was more or less trying to figure out, because this is what like all the analysts and certainly the campaign people want to know, is that people who are not necessarily set for one side or another, those people who absolutely cannot vote for Trump, those people who absolutely cannot vote for Hillary, they're off the table because they're not going to be swayed in any way. There's nothing that either of them can do that would change their idea.
I think that's why this might be one of the smaller voter turnouts in history.
There's a lot of reasons why this would be the smallest voter turnout. Well, not necessarily smaller. I think this is actually going to be really like large voter turnout. The question is who of that is going to be turning out.
Yeah.
But that's a different question for another time.
Yeah.
My question for you, when you say that you're swaying Hillary, my question is, what would it take for you to sway firmly to her side, and what would it take for you to sway more to his side?
The points I brought up.
Okay.
More specifics from Trump, or a little more aggressiveness from Hillary, I guess. That would have to be it. Would
it matter to you the direction of the aggressiveness for Hillary, and would it matter to you the specifics that Trump brings up? Because if he's just bringing up specifics, but they're specifics and they're not true, versus if she's going crazy, I guess, and just going off the cuff.
It has to be done in a tasteful
Jerry Springer style,
or a correct way.
Okay.
To me. Okay, so the next question from Gabe was, which do you like more, a cat or a dog or just any animal? We are animal lovers. We have a orange tabby named Duke, who is our baby boy. I had him before we started dating. He is 12 to 14 years old.
I'm just playing with me.
Our grumpy old man. We have a pit lab mix that we picked up together named Tully. From Game of Thrones. And
she's not actually from Game of Thrones. We just named her after Game of Thrones.
No, we named her after Game of Thrones because we're huge Game of Thrones fans. We also have a black German Shepherd mix who is named Drogo, and he is my baby boy.
He should have been named Padfoot.
He should have been named Padfoot to her, but I'm such a huge Game of Thrones fan as well, and also he is my guard dog. He is my cow. He is the strong one. So I know he's a baby, but so that we love all animals except spiders. They don't count.
No, they don't.
But yeah, I think we're more dog people, but we do love our cat.
Yes, indeed.
What's your favorite TV show and your favorite movie?
Oh my God, it's a loaded question.
I think we pretty much covered that Game of Thrones is probably our favorite TV show.
I know it's my favorite TV show.
There are a lot up there. There are Game of Thrones. There's Gotham.
Yeah.
There's
Ballers.
Ballers.
Yep.
We love Ballers.
Yep. Venture Brothers. One of my favorites.
Venture Brothers is one of her favorites. I'm kind of into it. NCIS is one of mine. I'm not completely caught up, but definitely in the early years, NCIS is one of my favorites. The Shield is probably up there as one of my top favorite.
Unsolved Mysteries of Robert Stack. That's right. I brought it up. I brought it out there. We're gonna go old school. I'm just gonna say right now. Yeah.
Nice.
I've never missed an
favorite
episode.
Movie. Oh God, I don't know if I can answer that. You really have to give me a genre when you're talking about movies.
No,
we are huge moviegoers. We're huge movie buffs.
Fucking many.
So I would say my favorite superhero movie would be Dark Knight. My favorite, yes, I've seen White Chicks. No, thank you. I was not a fan. That's just me. But I would say my favorite superhero movie was Dark Knight. My favorite horror is a tie between Jaws and Alien. My favorite action movie, Die Hard. Pretty safe bet. My favorite whodunit is Identity, and just some basic overall genres because there's too many to go through. Really,
I'm just gonna rattle off a few names here.
And my favorite drama action, I guess you could call it, is Reservoir Dogs.
All right, so I'm just gonna name off a few here. Imitation of Life, JFK, His Girl Friday, Terminator 2, Back to the Future trilogy, Indiana Jones, the first three, fuck Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
We don't count Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
No, we don't talk about that one, no. I have a number of movies. I like A Man with No Name. Man Without a Name, I think is what it's called. The Man with No Name, I think it was.
The Birds too. The Birds.
Birds. I really feel as a student of film that it is important for me to watch as many different genres as fucking possible. Seven Samurai, like old school, like that sort of thing. Men in Black, yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah, we've seen that.
I saw that fucking in theaters. It made me feel so old.
Anything with Will Smith is really a winner for me. Focus.
Yeah, that was really good.
Day. Anything with Will Smith. Will Smith is awesome actor.
When I watch I Am Legend, fuck that movie.
I loved I Am Legend.
I won't watch it anymore. I saw it once. I don't need to see it again.
I loved him as Deadshot in Suicide Squad. I thought he was awesome. Concussion. He did an amazing job in Concussion. God, Will Smith movies. Just Ali. Oh my God, he was amazing as Ali. I really think that broke him out as a dramatic actor. He did
well, he did other things before that, but he was more 6 Degrees of Separation, which I've never seen, and I've never seen enough of, and I know that you've never seen it all. So that was certainly probably one of his first dramatic episodes or things.
We did like Deadpool.
Yes.
We did enjoy Deadpool. Deadpool was fun.
Yes.
I still think the best line in any superhero movie ever is we're taking you to Professor X. McAvoy or Stewart? These timelines are so confusing. That's one of my favorite lines ever in a superhero movie. Insidious, I was not impressed by. Honestly, if we're going horror movies, like modern era horror movies, my favorite in modern era is still probably Saw.
Oh, I like Sinister better. First Saw. First Saw.
I'm only talking about the first Saw. I saw your points on the later Saws, but the first Saw I still think was a masterful work.
I really enjoy Sinister.
But Sinister is probably out of the brand new kind of horror series.
Creepy AF.
It is, it did a very good job. It scared the hell out of me. It scared the hell out of her and the whole group of people we were watching it with. Sinister was awesome. Conjuring, yes, that one was really, really good.
Did we see that one? I don't remember seeing that one.
We saw that one. That was the one where the kind of ghost hunters are sent to the house.
Oh, okay, I remember. I remember.
Yeah, there are people hanging from the tree.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, no, that movie was good. That was well done. It was good. It was suspenseful. It was kind of creepy. So yeah, that one was fun. But yeah, I mean, we're big moviegoers. And video games. I forgot to put a mention out there for a video game because it's not mentioned enough as far as I'm concerned. Knights of the Old Republic is one of my favorite video games. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, original Xbox. Oh my God, fucking love that game. I have both of them and an old Xbox just so I can fucking play those two games. And that is a big one for me. So it looks like that's about it for us. Thank you to Gabe Bennett or Bennett, however you pronounce it. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that.
I do want to say one more thing before we go. As far as movies, I really like Metropolis.
Yeah, Metropolis was okay. So, we're not getting there. So again, thank you for sticking with us for so long. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. We will have more vlogs, more podcasts, more whatever the hell. We will see that. We will be back. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. Lets us know you still want to see this because it's kind of hard to keep this going with no likes and no comments and shit. I'll tell you what. But We love you guys.
We do this for you guys.
It was awesome to do a Q&A session. It's nice to know that anyone, anywhere is interested in us personally.
And if you have any more comments or anything like that, feel free to go ahead and
feel
upload
free.
them.
And if we see any cool questions or any questions that we feel like we want to answer, we'll make sure we get to them on the next cast we do. So, thank you again for joining us. This was the coverage or the reaction to the presidential debate between Hillary and Trump. There will be more reactions coming in future debates. Also, big events in the world.
If I may also say, we are having this discussion largely between ourselves.
Yeah.
Those of you guys who are watching, either in the recording or in the live streaming, thank you, Gabe Bennett 55.
Or Bennett. I don't know exactly how to pronounce that phonetically.
But but this is something that pertains to all of us. I know that the candidates spoke about world relations, one more than the other. And in general, though, like, this is something that pertains to all of us in some field, because we have put out there that we have our own personal political views. I'm certain everyone else has their own. If you feel confident, if you feel open to sharing it, if I may, babe, and inviting others to share theirs in order to engage in some sort of discussion later on, please go ahead and upload them. We do ask that people be respectful in doing so.
No, yes.
It's all about keeping a dialogue going on.
Like, we may not agree with Trump supporters, but you do not hear us sitting here saying you're an idiot if you're a Trump supporter. No. We are not those kind of people. We're not going to bash you on your beliefs because we do not feel that you need to bash us on ours. So
I have pled multiple times for people to try to explain this to me, and I'm just not getting it.
And I think that's the main issue with the world today. And so my Jerry Springer final thought would be...
you carry yourself and each other?
Yeah, that too. I think people need to start realizing that with the problems with racism in the world and the problems, all these divides in the world, there's so many things that we need to pick a side on nowadays between Trump and Hillary, Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter. There's so many people just picking sides and thinking that's what they need to do. My final thought is this. Martin Luther King, back in the days where they needed to fight for a black person's right to drink at a water fountain, did so by not approaching it violently. He just simply talked. And he simply made the discussions happen by putting the conversation out there that brought these people together and made enough noise to get this done. And I really think that's what's missing from this generation of people, is that there is not enough people talking to each other on each side of the fence. I think too many people are just taking sides and bashing people because of their different view. And that really needs to change. So
I'm going to say real fast before you jump out that this is a discussion that we have to have at a different time because I don't agree.
That's fine. So that may be a podcast in the future. But next time you have... My final thought is, next time you have a disagreement with someone, instead of just disagreeing with them and throwing the conversation away or bashing them, maybe take the time to talk and see their point of view. You don't have to agree with it at the end, but maybe you'll have a little more insight. So, for No Collar Gaming, thank you for joining us. This is Matt. No Collar Entertainment now. It's a brand change now. We are working on a brand change to include multiple forms of entertainment. So, for No Collar Entertainment, this is Matt.
This is Ariane.
We're out.
Bye.